Welcome back to another episode of the CRF podcast hosted by me, Asia. This is where all your normal, average podcast expectations come to die, okay? If this is your first time here, then let me applaud you for, I would actually applaud you, but I can't because I'm holding this camera vlog style. If you're listening to this on Anchor or some other podcast platform, and you're not watching this on YouTube, you have no clue what I'm doing right now. Actually, I forgot to film an intro as I was editing. See, I'm editing. As I was editing, I realized that I didn't film any sort of intro or any sort of outro to this interview. So, that's what I'm doing right now. So I'm reading off of this because I'm rambling. My thoughts are everywhere right now. And I didn't want to set up my tripod or anything. So I threw on this hat. And that's where we are. Okay. If this is your first time here, though, let me applaud you for making such an excellent decision to stop by here. This is heavy. How do people do this? How do they hold these cameras? Is there something I'm missing? Okay, let's try this again. Let me applaud you for making such an excellent decision to stop by today. And if this is not your first time here, give yourself a high five for being the most magnificent person in the entire world / creature. You may not be human. I don't know. I don't judge. I love it though when people come back for another episode. It just makes me really happy that people enjoy my content. So yeah. This week's topic is all about being an indie filmmaker and what that is like. So I interviewed my friend, Austin, who is a filmmaker, such as I am. We went to Living Arts College together, which is a digital art school in Raleigh, North Carolina. And I will say that camera's not on me. My bad. This is hard. I don't like this. Okay. I will say that I am confident that school caused a lot of us to go crazy. Like so many of us. I'm forever altered. Forever altered. I'll never be the same. So here it is. He's going to introduce himself and then we're going to get into the actual I can't stay in frame here. Then we're going to get into the actual interview. We're going to start off with pretty basic questions and then we're going to get into the real chisme, okay? And if you are a non-Spanish speaker, okay, chisme is basically like gossip, the tea, like what's the tea, okay? So that's what we're about to do, okay? Here's the interview. Sorry for this.
My name is Austin Bitikofer. I'm 21 and I am a filmmaker.
And when did you know that you wanted to be a filmmaker? And is that the only thing you can see yourself doing as a career?
I've wanted to be a filmmaker since I was about, say, 11, 10, around that age range. I started watching, I've always watched movies, and I started watching movies with kind of a different outlook and started to study them a little bit, watch the behind the scenes on the DVDs and like the making ofs, the blooper reels. And then I started to think more, it'd be cool to make these. And then ever since then, I've been working towards my filmmaking goals. And that is definitely the only thing I can see myself doing.
What was the first film that you've ever done?
Well, the first film I've ever made in any way at all was actually when I was in film camp back in 2015, where me and a few of the campers made 2 little short films at the camp. And, one camera, old DSLR, and a bunch of kids. So it was a blast to make, and it definitely got me excited for the future of making short films and whatnot. And I learned a little bit, and it was pretty cool, especially doing it with a bunch of fun, goofy people like me that I could work off of. And then we made those 2 shorts, and we all wrote them. We all basically directed and did camera and acted, and we basically did everything, all of us together at the same time, every role. Um, and it was definitely an interesting process. The first film I ever made, short film though I ever made in general, like as a director, was my director statement from that I had to do for my class at Living Arts College, which was the Voodoo Forest.
What was the coolest location you've ever shot at?
Oh wow, that's an interesting one. Um, the coolest location I've ever shot at so far, one of the coolest ones is definitely at UNC actually, and one of the theater buildings at UNC, mainly because that was a professional set that I did recently. Um, it was definitely really interesting lighting it and being, in this big old building and filming in that old building. And that was definitely an interesting experience.
All right, how many films are you working on currently? Maybe you're not filming them, but just, yeah, how many do you have?
Working on currently, oh my gosh, I could list so many. I'll I'll make a smaller list though.
Okay.
Mainly currently, I've got a few films in post production, so they're in the editing stages right now, such as Dark Tribulation 2, The Humming, and Last Laugh. Some other projects that I'm currently working on, I was, like I mentioned recently about the location thing, I was key grip for a short film called Mic Test, which was a very professional shoot, really cool. And I'm also in the process of pre-production, scripting, concepts, planning of like around about 20 movies. So I'm constantly going, constantly making stuff. And an interesting one that I would like to mention here, though, is definitely my animated project, which is a DC animated fan film, which actually stars you. And it's still in the works, still being animated. And it's been a long process, but it's coming along pretty nicely. So there's a couple of really cool, exciting projects that I'm working on right now.
What is the diversity range of the genres of all of those?
The diversity range of the genres is actually really interesting because it seems like mostly I always end up doing horror.
Mm-hmm.
But some of the other stuff that I have done, such as the DC animated project, is an action animated film. Mike Test was a romantic drama, which was way different for me. I've never, even remotely thought about that genre really. Maybe a romantic comedy, but not a romantic drama.
Yeah, that's a lot.
So, yeah, right. So it was a little different for me. I mean, I was just a key grip, but it was really cool to be a part of that different genre. And I've done a little bit of action in a way, but that I haven't really dove into action yet, which is my dream. That's my goal. And as for any other genre, I pretty much started with comedy. So most of my most of my films were comedy, even if they weren't intended to be. And when I was a
Yeah, I
student,
get that.
like when I was an early student, some things were supposed to be more horror, but ended up being a comedy, such as The Unknown Terror.
Oh no.
Well, the reason that was a comedy was, well, the people I worked with. So,
Yeah.
but
Is it easy to balance your school stuff with your personal film projects? Because I know you've got a lot that you're doing right now.
recently, I haven't had any film classes tying me down and doing only class projects, but which I kind of wish I did.
Oh, yeah.
So it's kind of chill, and I'm only working on like small homework stuff that I usually get done at the school or whatever. Working with that, working with that, balancing that out with filming my personal projects has been interesting. A little bit difficult to deal with, but I manage it. I work it out, especially since I work now too a little bit. So balancing all of that out has been a bit of a learning curve, and it's been interesting to figure out. But it hasn't been too awfully hard.
Okay, so do you have a solid team that you work with most of the time, or do you just kind of like float around in between different people?
I definitely have a solid team. I do float around a little bit and try to get new people or try to work with different people or whatever. But for the most part, I have the same set people. You know, I have my company that I'm building, which is Emerald Moon Entertainment, which consists primarily of me, Bernard Sharp, Mikkel Laws, Brian Laws, and a few of other people that have kind of joined in as like producers or whatever, such as my friends Chet and Gavin. And then there's Jermaine, who's got his own production company, Main Genius Productions, but he's definitely one of the primary people I work with on everything now, from from Dark Tribulation to whatever else I get, whatever else I can find and get a part of, or any of my films or whatever. And then the team that worked on Dark Trepidation, both for the first one and the second one, were pretty much the consistent primary people. And what the remaining LAC students
Yeah,
that
that's a story in itself.
right, that's a whole different story. But Asia and Noah, the last of us, I work with them whenever I can. I haven't gotten to work with them as much though, but they're definitely a part of my team always. And one thing I have noticed though is I have branched out a lot. I have several stunt coordinators now. I have stunt
Wow.
fighters. I have stunt men. I have a whole entire stunt team just waiting for action projects now. And we're currently in the process of working on one, and they're becoming a really big part of the team now for sure. They're going to be a part of the next Dark Tribulation. They're going to be a part of probably every next thing we come up with when they're available.
So how do you handle marketing, distribution, and like how do you get people watching?
So far, it's kind of a struggle to figure out how exactly you should do that. But one of my main goals is just to promote endlessly on all of the social medias.
Hmm.
A lot of people they don't tend to promote it as much as they should, promote their work as much as they should, and that can even go for some of my friends, some of my teammates. I feel like everyone should promote, post about it, spam it, even if it's kind of seems and feels annoying, which I know it can. Like, watch my film, watch my film, watch my film, watch my friend's film. It's like, oh, okay. But you kind of have to do that and post it, not just on your page, but like, say if it's a Facebook, you gotta post it on any film page you can, any art page, anything really, to spread it more and make it more known. And you got to keep sharing it, keep sharing it. Your links to your YouTube, and keep just promoting your films no matter what, all of your work. Um, so that's how I really promote and distribute for the most part.
Hmm.
So far, all of my shorts are on YouTube, like my early student shorts, and including some of my more recent stuff, and like a few teaser trailers to new things. But some of my bigger films, such as like Dark Tribulation, Silent Breath, Dark Tribulation 2, those will be DVD releases and hopefully some like not on YouTube but digital release media, which will be pretty cool once we get the ball rolling on that. And that's pretty much how I handle the distributing and the promotional stuff. I definitely want to go more towards DVD and other digital stuff and streaming.
Hmm.
Especially since it's apparently like really easy to get your film streamable on Amazon Prime,
Oh, really?
a few things like that. Yeah, a lot of indie filmmakers, a lot of low-level filmmakers, B-movie filmmakers, a lot of them get their films on Amazon Prime, and you can find a whole bunch of stuff on there that's kind of like lower level, and you're like, oh, that's interesting. And there's actually a lot of short films on it. So we're definitely gonna try and branch out into that and see how we can make that happen. And one of the most recent things is premiering our films at a wider variety of places, even if it costs a little more money. Um, like such as right now, we're actually premiering. We have a big movie premiere coming up in May. May 11th is the Blood premiere, which is a premiere of several of our uh, horror films, thriller films, whatever we have. Um, and right now we're premiering about maybe 7 films at that premiere, which is at Panic Point in Louisville.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll also be premiering a few films, 4 films total, at Fight or Flight Comics, which is a comic store in Raleigh. And we also reached out to Rialto Theater, the Alamo Draft House, and Emerge, to name a few places. And we're going to try and set up premieres and screenings at those places to kind of spread the word locally.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty cool. So that's another step in promoting and screening and showing our films and getting public responses as well.
Sounds like you got to be really bold, and not afraid to just like put your stuff out there, no matter, like you said, how annoying it might seem to other people. But you just have
Definitely.
to like talk to people and really get that out there. So
Yeah, you definitely gotta do that, especially like when we were going to theaters asking people, hey, you want to premiere a film? It's a little awkward. You're like, oh boy, I don't want to hear no, but we gotta go for this. This is a little weird, but let's do it. And so far, we're like, oh yeah, you just gotta contact this person. And we started emailing people and got the ball rolling on that. And it's kind of a interesting thing. You just gotta keep going, keep pushing your films to people and kind of throwing it at them and be bold in that sense.
what do you plan to do after you graduate from LAC?
I do plan on trying to get a paid internship, which sounds like I might have an opportunity for actually, um, which is pretty cool. And I do plan to stay in the area for a while. I hope to move out, do my own thing, get that job, that paid job, and go with the flow, see what happens, while still making my short films. I just want to keep going, keep making content, no matter what.
That's a good strategy because even if you, like you said, you do go and you work with other people, like you still want your own company as well. So,
Yeah.
gotcha. What is, in your opinion, the best part about filmmaking?
To me, the best part about filmmaking is really just sharing your love for the art, sharing stories, creating stories that people can relate to or get into and excited for, or say I made a horror to scare people, or make a thriller to really put people on the edge of their seats to make them get enthralled to the story. To me, the most important part of filmmaking is being able to do that, and not necessarily being popular or famous or whatever, but making it to where people will feel something when they watch your film, whatever your goal is to make them feel, and then hearing their reactions to it, hearing not negative or positive, because the negative can help you learn, and the positive can kind of pretty much just make you feel good to know that, oh, I made them feel that way. I reached my goal. And just sharing the stories, sharing your creativity. And one of the biggest things there is, though, that a lot of people don't say or think about is just doing what you love with other people. Like meeting a whole bunch of people that want to make film also, no matter what, and then working on all these sets. And it's just a really cool thing to be able to work with a bunch of people, really diverse people too, from all over the place, and just have fun making movies. To me, that's really special. It's really cool.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on that one. From the little bit of time that we were together at LAC, I will say that the stuff that we did work on, the like one of the best things about it was working on it with you guys, because you guys
Mm,
are my friends. So that's just like it made it really like extra fun, I guess,
right.
in a way, if that's a word. So on the flip side, what is your least favorite thing about filmmaking?
So my least favorite thing about filming is I would have to say just the stress, the overall stress that comes from the filming itself. And it depends on each role within the filming, such as if you're a director, you gotta know everything, every role, and try to solve every problem and ask your crew and just really work with everyone really well. And therein comes a lot of stress, especially since when a movie is bad, who does the audience blame? The director.
Right.
So there's a lot of stresses there for the director, but then there's also a lot of stress for really any crew role. The DP, cinematographer, has to worry about getting the perfect shot, making the film look beautiful. Otherwise, it's a bland looking film and nobody wants to watch it. So he has to make sure it looks good. He or she has to make sure it looks good. Then there's like other minor roles such as being a grip. You got to make sure you're doing what you need to do on time really quickly. Especially, I especially know that now that I've worked as a key grip for that that one project, that film mic test, which was a very professional shoot, and I had the DP and the director on me. You know, the DP was like, the DP was like, Austin, Evan, where is it? Hurry up! I'm like, oh, okay, oh, we're being yelled at. Okay, cool. Uh, it wasn't that bad though. It was pretty interesting, but there's a lot of stress that can come out of that too. You just gotta really learn how to balance the stresses that comes with each role, and that's pretty much my least favorite thing, but it's inevitable.
Yeah, I think I don't. We got cut off, so I'm not sure if this was a part of your answer from the last question or if it was from this one. But you said something about it being the director. You kind of have to yell at people, so you don't really want to be a jerk. But
Yeah, pretty much. That's one of the other things about being a director that can be really irritating, kind of annoying, kind of scary, because being a director, you really have to be authoritative. You have to make sure the crew knows who's boss, and you have to tell everybody what to do. And I always try to do it in the nicest ways possible, but sometimes people need a little push. You can't be too nice. You can't be too, uh, you know, overly sweet and kind to them. Or otherwise, they'll walk all over you. They'll do whatever they want. They'll take breaks or whatever, and they'll be a pain.
yeah,
And you don't want that to be a thing. You want to be in charge, make sure they know who's boss, and you got to keep the ball rolling because, especially with professional shoots, you're limited on time, very limited on time. Time is money,
yeah,
so you got to make sure your crew is going good. And a really good example is a lot of people say that a lot of directors like Michael Bay or James Cameron or whoever else are like assholes. Oh, they're so mean. They're such assholes on set, and they treat their crew like crap. They don't treat their crew like crap. They just have to be really authoritative. And, they're working with billions of dollars and they're going to lose billions of dollars and never get hired again if their crew doesn't listen to them and make a good movie or a movie that'll at least sell well. So sometimes they dive into cursing, they dive into screaming at them a little bit more, projecting their voices more. And it doesn't necessarily mean they're assholes. They're doing what they have to do in order to get the job done and get people to work. So that's definitely one of the stresses of a director, trying to make sure people do their work. And you don't want to yell at people because, ah, I don't want to be that type of person. I don't want to scream at people and people hate me. But sometimes you gotta just, raise your voice a little bit and show that you mean business in order to get the product made.
like you said, because if something goes wrong, everyone's gonna blame you.
Yeah, yep. If anything goes wrong, everyone's gonna blame you, and it doesn't matter if the script was bad and you had nothing to do with the script. Oh, the director's to blame. If the shot was bad and the director didn't even do the shot, oh, the director's to blame.
Yep.
If the edit is bad and the director didn't even have anything to do with the editing, it's the director who's to blame. So, so yeah, that's definitely one of the interesting things about being a director and having to deal with that.
So, would you say that you are more of a director, or writer, cinematographer? Like, what do you want to label yourself as if you had to?
Currently, I'm primarily set for like every film I work on as DP cinematographer.
Mm-hmm.
Um, which cinematographer is a really cool role because I get to be the DP basically. I get to make the shot. I get to make it look good, but also I'm filming it. I'm doing the camera work. So I'm doing both the camera work and setting the camera shots up and the overall shot listing or whatever shot I want, I get it. And that's a really cool role. I love doing that. Um, but then there's what I really want to do is actually direct. I want to be a director, despite the stresses that come with being the director. I'm gonna get a lot of angry people at me, I'm sure someday, as I'm making movies. But it just kind of comes with the job. But I want to be the director. I want to do that, especially a hands-on director, because one thing I love is when a director is doing his thing as a director, his or her thing as a director, but they're also doing the camera work. They're working right there
Oh
alongside
yeah.
their crew. They're making sure they get the shot perfect. They get some shots themselves. They run right into the action. Like a lot of directors like John Favreau, Michael Bay, the Russo bros, they will actually take the camera and go right into the action right around the explosions, whatever is going on in the scene, right there with the actors. And that's really cool. And that's definitely one of my inspirations. That's definitely one of the things that I want to do. And so right now, I'm the cinematographer, but eventually I hope to be the very hands on director.
Gotcha, gotcha. So, how do you handle criticism?
Well, I pretty much take it as a lesson. I take it as a learning thing. Even if it's harsh and not necessarily constructive criticism, and it's just plain hating, that kind of thing, I just kind of skirt off, ignore. I still like you're not supposed to look at it, but sometimes you can't help but look at it. But like when you do see it, you just gotta try not to let it get to you or put you down or anything, and just keep doing your thing. And I've finally started to like let that settle in and actually do that. And with constructive criticism, sometimes even though it is constructive and it's there to help you, it can be pretty harsh. And like just like the hate, you gotta learn how to just deal with it and not let it get you down. But with the constructive criticism, you can actually learn from it. You can listen to what they say and try to incorporate some of their advice, some of their criticisms into your next project and show that you learn. And I take it I used to take it very, very badly, but now I've started to take it a lot better and learn how to deal with it. Kind of like, I don't know, like if one film I did got some negative feedback from people, like friends or and just anybody, I I did a sequel to that film. If I do the sequel, I want to make sure that I incorporate the things that I kind of missed, that they thought I missed, and try
Hmm.
to work with it, learn from it, and I've noticed that in doing that, I actually have fixed some things that I missed and fixed some things that were issues that are no longer issues now. And that's pretty cool.
Have you ever shot a film and then realized in post that it was not there was nothing you could do to fix it, like it was just a lost cause? That was it. You just kind of wanted to scrap it at that point.
I'm laughing because you should know that this kind of thing has happened before. Um, I think it's happened to a lot of us actually. Like, you're trying to do a student project, for example, and you screen it in class, and you're cringing as you watch it with your class, even though it's only your class and your teacher that's watching it. but you're still cringing. You're still like, why is this a thing? Oh my gosh, I must burn this. And that ends up being a project that you never ever release. There's actually some of those that exist, um, for sure. So I had definitely have experience in that. Um, and I do have experience in some projects where I want to release it. I want to make it happen. I want to make it work, but I'm not 100% sure I can. And
Gotcha.
I'm in the process of trying to make sure that I can and work on it. Such as, for example, a film that I did called Grasp. That one, oh boy, that one was an interesting case because we filmed it, had a blast, realized that in the editing, oh my gosh, there's some flaws here.
Oh no.
What can I do to fix it? And it was during an interesting time at the school when a certain teacher was there. I'm not going to go into that, but
Not going into that story.
but you know,
Yeah.
but there's a certain kind of feel and vibe going on in the school at the time, interesting atmosphere, and yet I had fun making this film despite any stress or drama or whatever was going on. And then it went into editing. It was like, oh no, how can I, how can I make this work? Because it has some amazing shots. It has some amazing moments that are really cool and work with the genre, especially. It has some interesting character moments and kind of a twist in the story. But,
Ooh.
but
Okay, the
the
butt.
question is, can it be edited in a way that works? And I'm actually pushing it aside to a new editor to see if he can make it work. And eventually, who knows? It might get released. I definitely want to release it because I do have one thing about me that kind of irritates me, and that's that the thought of having a project,
Hmm.
having the crew come, having the cast come, having all of them work on it and work really hard, and then there be no end product. There not be a release. They don't get their credits. They don't get a release, or they
Yeah.
get their credits, but the film's not released ever. And to me, that sucks because they came, they worked hard. Like the actors, they want to get themselves promoted and out there, especially if it was an unpaid gig.
Oh, yeah, right.
And the whole point is to show their acting range and put it on their demo reel and all that good stuff. And so I'm definitely working hard to make sure that kind of thing does not happen, like at all, again, ever, in any way, because that sucks. You want everybody to get, especially me. I want to make sure everybody gets their proper credit. As you know, I want to make sure everybody gets their proper credit.
Hmm.
They get a credit. They get, it for their demo reel. They get the footage, whatever they need, so on and so forth. That way, it doesn't just hurt. It doesn't hurt me and them in the process.
Well, yeah, that makes total sense because everybody works so hard, and for it to be for nothing, that would just really suck.
Yeah, yeah. And there's been some cases where, oh, well, gotta botch this. Oh, well, gotta scratch that. That can't happen. But I guess that is a kind of thing that can and will always end up happening in some ways, at least as a student or an indie filmmaker.
Hmm.
But you gotta make sure you can have something at least good enough to release. Like for another example is that I've released some things on my YouTube channel that some of my fellow crew were not none too pleased about them being out there, as such as the mockumentary we did. Asia and Noah can't stand
Oh,
it.
I remember.
Like Asia really wants to burn it,
Well,
but she wishes it was gone. And I'm just like, it's funny. I loved it. It shows our progress. Yikes! But
yours came out so much better than ours did. It was just out of focus. The story wasn't there, and the ending. We didn't even have an ending.
oof, oof.
So yeah,
You left it on a cliffhanger. I mean, hey.
I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, I remember that. I know a lot of people who have like unfinished products and they wish they could release it, but they can't. And it's kind of an irritating thing that can happen. You just gotta trying to make sure it doesn't.
Yeah. Oh, so you recently had to deal with an actor that was being super shady and rude on set. How did you manage to not punch him in the face?
Okay, so I'm gonna put it this way: when dealing with actors or actresses that are very much a pain, showing attitude and even negativity towards your production, which can be very harmful to your production, you pretty much just have to be as adult and professional as possible and put on the fake smile and just be like, okay, I gotta be nice as possible and not burn this bridge and not cause more drama and just be really polite and get it over with. And you don't really want to keep working with these kinds of people. Once it happens, you want to just be like, okay, bye. You don't
Yeah,
need to be on my set anymore because you're going to keep causing drama because it's not up to your quote unquote standards. And it's kind of an irritating thing there, but you still got to be somewhat kind to them and try to just cool down the drama and calm it down and make it kind of just fade away. And for me, it's just like I've heard so many people like, you don't want to burn the bridge, you don't want to cause more, you don't want to punch them in the face and then get an even more bad rep for yourself
hmm
and cause more chaos and drama. So basically, like one of the things that I know about too is that if they're local and you're still local to that area and you're working on other people's projects, not just yours, you might run into them again. You
Oh,
might
that
work
is
with them
so
again.
true.
And in this case, that's actually going to be happening. So it's kind of a thing that you just want to make sure you just keep as professional as possible, avoid any drama, and basically just let them know though don't cause any nonsense because it's over with. We let it slide. We let it go. We were adult about it. But
hmm
sometimes the actor or actress may not be able. This hasn't happened yet, but they may not be able to just let it go, and they may keep going and may keep going. At which point you will just pretty much have to burn the bridge and just like basically straight up say, "Don't talk to me. Don't I'll have no correlation with you. I have no uh, actual acknowledge will not acknowledge that you're on set with me, that kind of thing. You just have
hmm
to, you'll have to, otherwise you'll lose your mind. But one thing's for sure, you always have to deal with somebody on set, most likely that you can't stand. It will probably happen, especially if we get on bigger projects and there's like a crew of 100.
Oh yeah, there's got to be like 10 people maybe.
There's got to be a few bad apples in that crew that are gonna make your skin crawl a little bit, but you got to deal with it and try not to beat everybody up. So that's basically kind of my input and my advice on that kind of situation. Um, as I know how it rolls, I know how it feels, and I know how it can go. Either way, either way you handle it. So yeah, there's a little bit on that.
Okay, so you got 4 more questions. Is there anything that would make you just quit working in the middle of a production? Maybe where you would just be like, forget it, I'm done.
um, I mean, I guess it has actually happened with a couple student projects before. Um, one of which you were a part of. We won't go into too much detail about that project. Um, we'll pretend that doesn't exist. But
I
but
remember which one you're talking about.
you know which one I'm talking about.
Yeah.
We were there. We were in the at, Falls Lake. Yeah,
Oh dear.
that one. We just noticed. We were just like, we're just at this point. We're just doing this to get this assignment done.
Yeah.
We didn't have the time, and we probably overworked ourselves and made it to where it was a little too complicated and needed us to actually flesh out the idea for a lot longer of a period of time. And at which point we were just like, forget it. I give up. We got this. At least, I mean, we got some footage.
Yeah.
It'll do, I guess, for the class thing. But goodbye to that project and idea. Um, but one thing I will say though, if you ever have an idea like that does happen, and you're just like, I give up, I'm done, I can't do this project, game over. If it doesn't work at that time, maybe just keep that idea in the back of your head, and maybe someday you'll revisit it and be able to actually do it accurately and in a great way. And that's definitely what I plan to do. But there's a little bit on that. That's about all I can say for that.
Okay.
That's definitely one I was like, yeah, I'm game over. I quit this one.
What is the worst thing that's ever happened while filming?
Oh man. Well, when you're on set, the worst thing that could ever happen on is anything really. When you're on set, anything could go wrong at any moment. And you gotta be able to, like, you and your whole crew have to be on your toes, ready to know what to do and how to do it. One of the worst things that has happened, I'm actually not going to mention
Okay.
and not go into detail. Like, it's pretty crazy. And I know some people who are there that will hear this and they'll be like, oh, he means that. That's funny. And yeah,
Okay.
but it's a
Yeah.
really interesting thing. But yeah, for kind of a advice type of thing, with that type of question though, is anything could go wrong at any moment. Like I said, you just gotta be on your toes and be real quick about trying to see, can we still do this, or do we need to find another day to do it? And try not to panic, try not to lose your mind, and not stress too much, because that'll only make it worse, I've noticed. So
Mhm.
whenever a problem arises, just put your heads together. If you have a good team, all of you can put your heads together, and surely you can come up with something. We've had instances where um, our green screen was kind of bad, and it was really hard to key out, and we probably had to end up reshooting that scene. Or moments where you're on set, it's going good, and then boom, it starts raining. Oh, that's fun.
Oh, I hate
Weather
that.
weather changes its mind on us, even though it said it was going to not rain. Or we would schedule something and then something would happen, somebody couldn't do it or whatever. Any of those things can happen at any moment, and it's just really learning how to be a quick problem solver. And that's definitely the best thing to learn when you're on set, is to make sure you're a problem solver and your team is a bunch of problem solvers, and you guys are able to really quickly fix the issue, and if not, regroup and recoup another day.
All right, last two. If you could inspire someone right now who is thinking about being a filmmaker, what would you say?
I would say go for it. Go for your dream. Make it happen. That's pretty much what I'm doing, and I've worked with a lot of people who have said that if it wasn't for me, they wouldn't be making the films right now. And then
Wow.
I was like, same, likewise. Yeah, hey, that's cool. And like, it's just kind of a cool thing, like, go for it. You'll meet the people that'll help drive you towards it. Even if you feel like, I can't make that happen, it's too far out there. Like even for me, I'm like, big Hollywood blockbusters. Yeah, that seems way out there. I highly doubt that'll happen. But I've started to be more like optimistic and like, it could. Who knows? Especially since I've ended up being able to have the amazing opportunity to work on more professional sets
Mhm.
and make short films that are wanted and sought for by the festivals,
Wow.
and a bunch of crazy things like that. Getting premieres and premiere deals, screening deals at like legit theaters and cool venues and locations, and having cool events for them and all that good stuff, all kinds of cool things. And one of my biggest advice things for sure is, I feel like a lot of my answers were a lot of advice type things, but one thing for sure is just go for your dream no matter what. Go for it. No matter what crew role you want to do, just go for it. Work your way up. Work on as many sets as possible. I cannot stress that enough. That's my biggest number one advice right there. Work on as many sets as possible. You will not learn nearly enough at any film school as you will if you just go to a set as a PA or grip and just work on it and observe the say you want to observe the camera operator or the DP, then you can observe how they work and how they work with their crew and learn from that, or just really anything. Like Quentin Tarantino, he never went to film school. He was a PA on like 94 films, uncredited, before he got to make his first film.
Wow.
And he
That's
learned
inspiring.
he learned literally everything just by being a PA on almost 100 films. And I'm definitely noticing that pattern myself. As the more sets I work on, the more I learn, the more I realize, oh, I can solve this problem now, or
Hmm.
oh, I can do this now. That's really cool. And like I'm like working my way up, especially since another example being the fact that I was kind of confined to one or two genres, either horror or comedy.
Yeah.
And now I'm finally branching out to my dream genre, action, while also diving into genres I didn't think I would work on, like that romantic drama, and just seeing the variety and the different sets and the different professionalism, rates and all the really different cool things you can see from each set. And it's just really good to be on as many sets as possible, no matter what. That is where you will learn the most.
I sit well. Okay, trying to let me get my thought together. Working on Dark Trepidation 2 that one day because I was literally only there one day. But yeah, um, I hadn't been on a film set in probably forever. I'm just gonna say forever because I have no idea how long it actually was. So just being a PA on that set, I like realized that I had just lost touch with so many things that I had learned over the course of just filming. So that was really cool because it just brought back to my remembrance, like, oh yeah, hey, that's this, and that's how you do that. So I agree with you when you say just go on as many sets as you can because you will learn so much even by just being there. You can just
Yeah,
pick stuff up.
yeah, definitely. Like even if you're a PA who doesn't even get to do much on set, that's usually even a better thing for you because you can just watch how everyone works,
Hmm.
and that's pretty cool. That's where you learn, just seeing it happen in real time while you're there. That's definitely an awesome learning experience for sure, no matter what set it is, whether it's a student film, a really low level indie film, or even a high budget film, really anything.
Hmm. Okay, last question. What impact has LAC had on filmmaking for you?
That's a fun question. Oh boy. Well, one thing one thing for sure is the friendships that I've formed at LAC over the years. Like not even like just the originals, the OGs, the original friends,
Hmm.
the main group, the main squad, the main team, whatever. I've noticed that each quarter, even if somebody new comes in and somebody else leaves or whatever, I still make connections. I'm like, I'm almost done and I'm still meeting new people there. And that's still the number one thing I'm gaining there is learning how to work with different people and other people and talk to them and spend time with them and learn different personalities and things like that. And especially like with the newer film students, which I've befriended, and they're all really cool to learn from and to kind of teach in a way sometimes. I've noticed, which is kind of cool. Kind of didn't expect that. It's kind of a cool thing. But then, so even some of the good teachers, your go-to favorite teachers there, like the OG Mr. Pierce,
Ah,
uh,
yes.
the great one of the he was so cool and he taught so well despite any limitations he might have had at that school.
Mm.
It's been an interesting experience there, especially since like recently I've gotten to work with Justin a bit more. Justin Fick,
Hmm.
he's a really good editor, He's good at green screen. He's a really cool dude to actually work with, and even like working with other people and talking to people like Mr. Chevalier a little bit more. And he's been a really cool person for me at LAC and continues to be one of my favorite people of all time. That man is awesome.
Yeah, he's pretty cool.
And I don't know, just one of the greatest things about LAC that I've gathered is not so much the classes, but the people I've met, be it some of the teachers or most of the students, and especially some of the staff who are like really amazing people, like Miss Ruth and Andrew and Justin and all of them, and definitely the connections I've made there. That's always that's the greatest thing. That's the really cool thing that I've noticed. And over the years, I've learned how teamwork there. That was literally the number one thing I've actually learned for that's film related that really got to me the most and got through to me the most is teamwork makes the dream work. Teamwork is the best, and learning how to work with people that maybe there might be some drama between you two or whatever, for whatever reason, you can still be a pretty good teammate with them or make an interesting product out of it with them, and things like that. And it's really interesting. That's definitely one of the coolest things I've experienced and learned at LAC is some of the friendships and teamwork.
Cool stuff. Well, thank you. That is the interview. Is there anything else you'd like to say? Any social medias you want to plug real quick? Anything?
Well, my social media is pretty easy to find and access. Just look up my name on literally anything, because I pretty much just do Austin Bitikofer as my username for pretty much every app. I feel like it makes it easier for people to find me,
You're right.
especially considering my unique last name, Bitikofer, which is kind of a noticeable go-to name. People are like, oh, there he is.
Yeah.
When they find me. I've recently realized a lot of people find me maybe a little too easily. But no, I'm like, if you want to follow me hit me up on Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, Facebook. I'm on all of those, LinkedIn, whatever. Um, and feel free to send me a message. I am down to chat and, teach, inspire, talk, learn from you, work with you someday, that kind of thing. So message me on any of them. Yeah.
Okay.
And my YouTube is pretty much the same thing. Just look up my name and see the crazy old stuff I've made.
I think one of mine is even on your channel.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Oh dear.
Yep.
Okay. Well, thank you for being my very first guest. That is super awesome of you to do.
Nice. Thank you for having me. It's pretty cool. New experience.
You've never been interviewed before?
Not like this.
Oh, well.
Especially not for a podcast.
Look at me.
Yeah. Right. First for both of us. That's epic.
Okay, well, I'm going to end the recording here, and I need to go edit this because I'm gonna try to get this up by midnight. Although that's a stretch. So.
Oh boy. All right.
Right, so I did it again. I put the camera up, I took the SD card out, and I put the SD card in my computer, and I said, all right, now I'm about to transfer this over. And then what do you know? I realized I still hadn't recorded the outro. So here we go. All right. Thank you guys. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to this episode. Next week, I'm going to be doing something really stupid. So mark your calendars for that. Don't forget that this is the Completely Random Foolishness podcast where I'm liable to make an episode about any and everything. This camera's getting really heavy. Oh my god. Okay, I need to do something different. Hold on. Okay. We're back. Where I'm truly liable to make an episode about any and everything. I'm going to crank it up and really have some fun with this. So prepare yourself. Guys, I'm still trying to grow my audience, so tell your mom, your sister, your local drug dealer, the Pope, the Jehovah Witnesses that knock on your door, and even your pet gerbil that you enjoyed this podcast so they can come and listen too. I have to go now. Bye bye. Oh, wrong button.